guys, and welcome back to part 3 of my larger eyeshadow palette collection. My name is Lizzie. If you watched part 1 and 2, I had mentioned that this is not a declutter by any means. I had said my larger eyeshadow palettes, most of them are new and are still new and untouched, so I really do plan to use them more for this year since it's going to be a 2019 low buy for my makeup purchases and spending. So yeah, this is by no means one of the declutter videos, but I already have some of those up on my channel if you wanted to check those out. But this is just showing you my larger eyeshadow palettes, and if I come across one or two that I decided I don't need anymore, then I'll declutter them. But let's go ahead and jump in because it's part 3 and it's the final part and probably will still be a pretty lengthy video. So here is my Urban Decay Vice Limited Reloaded palette, the 20 I think version. I think I actually got this from a friend. She wasn't using it, and yeah, half these shades have barely been used. It looks like they were just touched or swatched. So, you know, I like some of these shades like this Freak Show and Asphyxia, but it's not anything I should just hold a huge entire palette for that I haven't even touched it since she gave it to me. So I am going to let that one go. I had mentioned in my part 2 that I was keeping this one here, the Urban Spectrum palette, because I do have these other larger Urban Decay palettes that I probably will let go of some, so that's why I'm keeping that one. This is the Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette. This came out, was it last year or 2 years ago? I like this palette. I think the packaging is weird, but I think the metallic purple is cool. And then you have just a bunch of metallic shades. So the warm side here and then the cooler side. And their metallic formula is one of the best in my opinion. So I'm definitely holding on to this one. I just have to try and play with it more. If I could close it. How do you close it? Nope. What the heck? I have not encountered this problem before. There. So you do have to close it a certain way to get it to fit. Weird. This is the Urban Decay Distortion palette. I got also, I think around the same time as the Heavy Metals. So I haven't used it too much, but it has, you know, these shimmer foil shades and then these shades at the top row that are supposed to be like color shifting shades that you could layer over it and change the shade color a little bit. You know, it's interesting. I mean, I like these shades here, but I don't really use those top eyeshadow shades to change the shade itself. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that. I don't know. It is kind of bulky and I haven't reached for it in a long time. Here's the Urban Decay Vice 2 palette. I don't even remember what this palette looks like. Yeah, I've used a couple shades, but definitely not a lot. So, let me see what this last one is. So I have that one, and this last one here has this case. Just the original, it's just the original Vice one. That's pretty, but they all do kind of look similar. Which one am I drawn to more? I think I'm going to keep this one, the original Vice, because I do like these brighter greens, and I don't even know if I've used that much of this, if any. Yeah, I'll hold on to this one. This one I will let go. I've used a couple of these shades, but I just never think to reach for these Vice palettes. So that one I will let go and keep this one. And you know what? Thinking about this one, I think I am just going to let it go too. Yep, bye-bye. Okay. Now, here's a bunch of palettes that I probably will not be letting go of because they're in this basket for a reason. Here's the Too Faced Natural Love palette. A lot of people didn't like this palette. I mean, I think, yeah, some of the shades, there's a ton of shades in here, and they're not all that exciting. They all kind of are very similar to each other. So it's just kind of a very soft, natural look, which is why it's called Natural Love. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I haven't used all of them, and I feel like I could get more use out of it, so I'm going to hold on to that. Here is the Desert Oasis palette by BH Cosmetics. So this was this their first eyeshadow palette I ever bought? I think so. From Ulta. So this is a really stunning palette. I have never touched it yet, as you can tell, but I heard it's a really great quality, and these freaking metallic shades just look so gorgeous with some mattes and the highlighters. So I'm definitely keeping that. I try to keep these within reach of my vanity so I can remember to try and pull them out and use them, but it's just so hard when you have so many choices. I know. Makeup hoarder problems. This is the Natasha Denona 28 palette in the blue purple. So this was the first palette from my first extra large lucky bag with Beautylish before their whole disaster this year. So this was the first year I got it, and when I found this in my lucky bag, I was just blown away and could not believe they included this palette. It was already well over the value of the lucky bag itself, so I was just super psyched and pumped about this, and was so happy to get this. I mean, I particularly wanted the green brown palette because I just love green shadows, but I am not gonna argue or be disappointed that I got that one instead. Here is the Pat McGrath. Which one is this one? No, the Mothership 5. So the box is on display in my beauty room, but yeah, this is the latest Mothership palette she just released. I played a little bit with some of the shades, but I definitely still need to play with this more. I think it was this shade I used, and I couldn't believe how glittery it was. Like, I really like her 4 different, like, transformer shades, whatever you want to call them, in her other palettes. But this one here, when I used that, it was just like glitter all over my face. So that was kind of annoying. But I'm going to keep that one. Here's the Makeup Revolution Emily Edit palette, the Once. I haven't tried this one yet, but I think the shades are really pretty, and you know, for an affordable brand, I just wanted to give this a try, and she is a really entertaining YouTuber on her channel. Here is the Natasha Denona Star palette. This was the first larger Natasha Denona palette that I ever bought, and it is one of my favorite palettes of hers. Some people don't like this palette, but I really enjoy it. I think you can create some really pretty looks with it. You have the cooler tone side and the warmer tone side. And I just think like this shade here, which one is that? I hate this flap. Orion is one of my favorite shades. And I just have to play with this more because it is one of my favorite palettes, but I forget about it sometimes in my collection. Here is my new Sephora Pro Editorial 2.0 palette. I just got this during the Sephora sale. It's my only Sephora Pro palette I bought and own from them, and this one I just felt has some really unique shades that were different in my collection, and I wanted to try their formula out and get one of their palettes, so I was so excited to get this and use my discount on it. Here is the original BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. So it's in the first one released to the Zodiac Love palette that just came out. So it's a large palette, but I really like the way they arranged this with the metallic shades on the outside in the circle pans, and then the matte shades in these rectangles, and then you have the highlighter in the center. So definitely like the BH Cosmetics palettes. Here is my Lorac Pro Mega 4. I did not get any of the other Pro palettes by them. This was just the one that really called to me. I thought this wasn't the favorite out of some others, but I really like it. I think, you know, it has the darker shades over here, and it has some lighter pastel shades, and I just think it's a really pretty palette, and definitely going to keep that. Here is the Jeffree Star Alien palette that just came out. The packaging is so hideous. I hate it. But I really do think the shades are pretty cool and different, and you know, I like his formula a lot, so I can't wait to test this one out. Here is Kat Von D's Saint and Sinner palette that she released in 2017, I think, for holiday. I haven't used it too much, so I do want to try and use it some more. You know, people got mixed reviews on this and didn't really like it with the shade selection, but I think you could create some nice fun looks with some pops of colors that she included in this. So I am going to keep this, even though the packaging is kind of weird. This is the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, the beginning of it all for Morphe and her eyeshadows. So I've only used it like a couple times. You can hardly tell. So I definitely need to play with this more, and I want to compare this to the Vault palettes that I haven't touched yet. So just see if they are any different in quality. Here is my last Morphe palette, which is the Artistry palette. I thought this was the Dare to Create palette. What is the Artistry? Yeah, Dare to Create. Okay, 39A. It's like, what is going on? So this I got when it first came back in stock again and restocked. I was so bummed I missed out on it. And I haven't played with it yet. Yep, that's me, a makeup hoarder that forgets what she has and doesn't use it. But yes, I can't wait to try it and use this one. It's a huge palette though. And then last are my 3 Pat McGrath larger palettes here. The last 3, besides the Mothership 5. This is the Mothership. Is this the Mothership? Yeah, Decadent palette. Where the hell is the name? Mothership Decadence. So it's the Mothership 4, Decadence. This is the one that's all metallic shades. So it was limited edition and is no longer available. These are the silver and gold shades that were in the mini palette here. So the silver and gold are in this palette, and I am decluttering that pink palette because I already have them here, and the other 4 shades I don't really need or want that much to keep it. So I'm definitely keeping this one though, since it was limited edition and it's no longer available, and I think her metallic formula is one of the best formulas out there. Here is her Mothership 3 Subversive palette. So when these first released, I swatched them in the store. I knew I wanted this green one here. This is the Mothership 2. And I thought I wanted the Mothership 1, the one with the blue shade. But when I swatched that one and this one in store, I like this one more. I thought these 4 shades here really just convinced me to get this palette instead of the blue one. I still want the blue one. I'm kind of annoyed that I don't have all 3 of them in my collection. And I was going to get it at one of the sales, but then, of course, other stuff just caught my eye, and now it's still just on my wish list to get eventually. Maybe I'll eventually get really marked down since it is getting older in her collection. But yeah, this one I knew I wanted for sure because of the green shade in this one. And yeah, that green shade is just beautiful. And these 2 shades up here are gorgeous. So yeah, I haven't played with these shades too much over here. But yep, my very pricey Pat McGrath palettes. And I love the packaging. So those is that set. And then my last few larger palettes here. Okay. The Too Faced Life's a Festival palette. The packaging is just, you know, cutesy and childish a little bit, but I love the shades in here when I used it in my makeup rotation. I think they are just really good quality for Too Faced and was really a hit with this palette itself. I really love Artist Past, Dusk Till Dawn, our gorgeous Mystic Rain. Just so many pretty shades in this palette itself. Then the Anastasia Master Palette by Mario. This is when I first started collecting makeup, and I didn't see what the hype was about the Modern Renaissance. I didn't get that for a very long time. But I decided to get this palette, and I'm so glad I did because it was limited edition, and everybody that missed out was just like, oh my God, I wish I got that palette. And I'm so glad I did. People might think it's boring, but I think it's a really beautiful palette, and it is one of my favorite palettes by Anastasia. But you can't get it anymore. Sorry, guys. So then I finally did get the Modern Renaissance palette. And I like it. I like her formula. It is very powdery and soft, but, you create some really pretty looks with it. I got this actually after the Subculture palette. So when I saw the Subculture palette first, I was like, yes, those are my type of shades. This is exactly the kind of palette that I want, not the Modern Renaissance mauve tones. And I didn't have any issues with this. I mean, I didn't use it too much, as you can tell, but when I tried it and used it, I don't see why everybody was hating on it. I like it. I think the shades are, nice and they blend well. And, I don't dig my brush into my eyeshadows to, hit pan so soon. So I don't know what some people's problems were, but I like the palette that I got. Like I said, use a soft hand and just go in lightly and make a look out of that. So I kept that Subculture palette. Then I got the Modern Renaissance, and, I like that one too. And then I got her Prism palette. I haven't really played with this one too much. I do have to try and use it more. I heard it's not really a favorite of people's. I think it's kind of an odd layout of colors here, but for the Anastasia palettes, I decided I do probably want to just keep them all together in my collection. So that's why I got the Soft Glam. This one was the one I really thought I was not going to get of hers, because I was like, that's so boring. Why would anybody just want this kind of boring neutral palette? But it ended up being my favorite palette for 2018. I think the looks you can create with this are just beautiful, and you can make just a casual day office look, or you could glam it up and use it for a night look. And I love how versatile it is, and you could just use it for any kind of occasion or outfit. So that ended up being an unexpected surprise palette choice that I got this year. This is the Norvina palette. I really like this palette too. The purple pinky tones are just really pretty. I wish it was a little bit more purple shades in here, like a dark eggplant color that's like a matte, or I just wish they took out some of these shades that don't really go with the theme, in my opinion, and added a couple more purple tones. But I really do think this is a pretty palette overall. And then the Sultry palette I was not going to get, but I just wanted to, like I said, keep my Anastasia palettes collection whole, and did get this one. And I've only used it once so far, but I really do like the shade selection. I do like that it is kind of cooler toned, and I like the pop of pink there, the bloom shade. I think it just adds a little bit of variety to an eye look, and people think it just doesn't belong, but I think it, is different and gives you that little extra something to this palette. So I don't like the packaging though. I wish it was kind of that smooth glitter packaging instead of this rough glitter that kind of rubs off everywhere. So that's my Anastasia collection. This is my Kat Von D 10-year anniversary shadow palette. I haven't touched this. I don't know if I will, because it might just be an untouchable for me, and I heard this wasn't the best quality anyway, but I really like the packaging. I got the highlighter and lipstick that came with the collection too, so I will keep that. This is the BareMinerals Aurora Lights palette that released for this holiday. I've never tried BareMinerals eyeshadows before. I got one of their Gen Nude mini palettes that I featured, but I haven't tested that one yet, even though the swatches and pigment I heard on that is amazing. So that's why I got that. And so I got this holiday palette. I think it's really pretty shades, and I've used a few of them, and you just, create a nice soft kind of look with these shades, and I'm not mad about it. I'm glad I have it and can play with it more and try it out. This is the Lime Crime Venus XL palette. I I have the Venus 2, and I got this with Ulta points during the year, and I think it's a pretty selection of pinks and mauve tones, and just, you know, nice to have. I was really excited to see the Venus 2 XL2 palette that just released. I could not wait to see what those shades were going to be, and I mean, I like them, but I really wish, I thought they were going to do something a little bit, you know, more different than the XL palette, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. I like that they added a few more green shades in it, and I think eventually I will get it, just not full price. I'll just wait when I have Ulta points or when it's discounted. Maybe then I'll eventually get it. Here is my Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette. I got this kind of on a whim from Ulta as well during an Ulta haul. And I do like these shades. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Naked Heat palette, where you can't create too many diverse looks with this. Overall, they will just kind of end up looking like the same eye look, but I think the quality is there, and I think the packaging is super cute with the cherries. So here's the Naked Heat palette, which I like. I mean, like I said, you can't create too many diverse eye looks, but could have changed a few of the shades in there, but I definitely will keep that one. The Naked Smoky palette. I got this when it was on sale 2 years ago, I think. And, you know, I think it's nice. I don't have too many like dark kind of smoky shades. I don't really create too many smoky eye looks, but I think that palette overall is nice. And then the original Naked palette. This was my first ever eyeshadow palette that I bought. And like I said, I used to use just an Urban Decay single shadow all over the eyelid. So when I first started getting into makeup, I saw that they had, you know, a full eyeshadow palette with just a bunch of shades, and I was just like, oh my god, yeah, I need to get this and have a bunch all in one. So I keep mine still in very good condition. That's the first eyeshadow palette I bought, and it's sad that it's no longer available, but I will always keep this even if I don't use it anymore, even if it goes bad. It's just a nice little reminder of what I started out with when I first got into makeup. And the very last three eyeshadow palettes in my collection are these Natasha Denona ones. Here's the Tropic palette. I kind of wish she stayed with the kind of faux leather covers, but I don't know. It's okay. So here's the Tropic palette. I've only played with this a little bit. You know, it got a ton of mixed reviews, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that picky, or I just don't have like negative stuff to say about brands or palettes or anything, but I enjoy it. I mean, I wish I waited when it went on sale during the weekly wow at Sephora, which was only like a few months after it came out. So that kind of sucked that I bought it full price, but it's hard to predict. And I just feel like for 2019, having had more experience now with makeup consumerism, that eventually everything does go on sale. So unless it's like super limited edition, will sell out in like a week, you really don't need to get it right away, and you could just wait till it goes on sale. So that's hopefully what I'm going to do for 2019, and just not try to buy makeup that's full price too much. We'll see. Here's the Natasha Denona Lila palette. So like I said, I don't have the Sunset palette, but I really like the purple tones in this, and just thought back then during my collection I didn't have too many purple shades or, you know, blues or anything like that. So I wanted to get this over the Sunset palette, and I really like this palette, so I do have to use it more. And last is the Natasha Denona Safari palette, which is her all matte palette. I do like this packaging, the matte green, Safari green color, but it would have been cool if it was like still this leather in a green, kind of metallic green shade, even though it's matte. so it wouldn't really go. But yeah, this is her matte palette. I've heard mixed reviews about this. I've used it a couple times, but you could hardly tell. And I really like it. I think her matte shades are really nice and they blend really well together. And like I said, I don't have too many all matte eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So I think this is a really nice choice to have and use whenever I do need a matte shade that I am looking for. But I will probably always add a shimmer shade with a matte eye look and not ever completely do an all matte eye look. So that is my entire eyeshadow palette collection now that I have showed you so far. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I hope you will stay tuned for more videos to come. When the sun is back out, I will do my highlighter declutter, and that definitely will be a declutter because I have way too many highlighters, and more to come. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.